What is up, guys? We are live. Welcome to the Bags to Riches podcast. I'm your host, Zach Ginn. And on today's video, we have Todd Miller from Richmond, Virginia. Todd is an absolute beast in his market, and his results speak for itself. So he's going to teach you exactly today. I want to share in his business how he is able to skyrocket his success and how you can do the same thing too in your real estate wholesaling business. Todd, thank you so much for coming on today.
Hey, man. Happy to be here.
All right, man. So let's start it from the top. Who is Todd Miller, and how did you get started in wholesaling real estate?
Good question. I guess I can just kind of go in to how I got started. Basically, I was tired of living paycheck to paycheck. Working 50, 60-hour weeks in my job, and just basically not really making any traction, and just knew I had to do something to change it. Always had some interest in real estate and being my own business owner. So I dove into learning about wholesaling, and just spent, I'd work my full-time job, 40, 50, 60 hours, and then come home, have dinner with my family. And then I was basically on the computer probably till about 2:00 in the morning every single night, learning, reading, tweaking stuff, and starting my company. So just took massive action doing that. So,
wow. What industry were you in?
I was actually in sales. So
Ooh.
one good thing about that for sure. The sales came in handy. So,
all right.
And, the job that I had was pretty flexible because I was in sales. So I would have to, for my position that I had, I would have to drive around town and, go visit different companies to try to sell them. I was in the truck leasing field, so trying to sell them trucks and leasing and maintenance. And, as I was doing that, I could always, squeeze in an appointment on a wholesale deal or stuff like that as I was going in and around town. So there's always a customer that I could call on after I, visited a house or something like that. So worked out pretty well.
And what year was this?
This was in 2009. So
wow. Ooh.
Right after the crash. And basically I was like, you know what? I listened a lot to Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, and he's really big on, zigging instead of zagging. When everybody else is zagging, you want to zig. Do the opposite of whatever the market's doing. And everybody was obviously getting out of real estate at that point because the market was so bad. And I did the opposite. So I was like, all right, this is going to be a great time to get started because it's just numbers, right? With wholesaling, it's just numbers. You just adjust your numbers. You can wholesale in any type of market, up market, down market. It doesn't really matter. You just adjust your numbers. So,
wow. Go ahead. Sorry.
And it literally was like fishing in a barrel back then. I didn't do that many deals, but it was a lot easier than it is today because there's a lot less competition. There's pretty much like 2 or 3 guys doing it in Richmond, and that was it.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I mean, I just think about today. I know sometimes you watch some of my lives and you'll comment something and I spill the beans on Richmond. Like when I figured out how awesome of a market Richmond was, it blew my mind how well people were doing virtual wholesaling there. And I did a video on my top 10 virtual markets, and I know you're a little upset. I was telling everyone how good
I know. It's like, no, don't come to Richmond. Richmond's horrible.
It's a great market, but I mean, obviously, like any market, you still have to be legit to do deals there, and you still got to put the work in. But you're in a great market, man. I mean, how did you end up in Richmond?
Actually, with my sales job. So I was working for a company called Penske Truck Leasing, and I'd started with them kind of right out of college and got promoted a few times, and then got promoted a third time here to the Richmond market, and moved to Richmond in like 2000, and I worked for them, for probably till about 2005. So that's what brought me to Richmond. So.
Okay. And I mean, you're being humble right now with it, but like, let's break down your business now. I'm really curious because this is the stuff that we got to talk about because not everyone I can get in front of can do the deals you're doing. So, I mean, how many deals have you been doing basically on a monthly basis, and what is your operation sort of looking like now?
So deals on a monthly basis were anywhere from like 10 to 15 a month on average. And my business, my business has gone through a big, huge shift in the last month. So
Wow.
I had a bunch of employee issues. So I actually had to let go all my salespeople, and I'm kind of starting back over from scratch, building my team back out. So I'm heavily involved inside of my business right now, unfortunately. But it's in business, you just you got to roll with the punches, and I don't ever quit. If I get knocked down, I always get back up and just keep moving forward, and just try to be as consistent as possible. And that's how you can be successful in this business, is just being consistent and showing up and doing the same things over and over and over each and every day. So,
wow. I mean, what's the average deal margin looking like there in Richmond then? You're doing that many deals.
My average deal size right now is about 18,000. So,
oh my gosh, whoa, that's impressive. I mean, I want to break this down a little. It's absolutely amazing the way you've been doing it. Obviously, you are probably one of the best networked individuals when it comes to wholesaling in the country. I would say you know a lot of people.
yeah.
You're everywhere, and you've been absorbing so much knowledge. That's why I kind of wanted to pick your brain today there. So,
Sure.
doing that many deals at that good of a margin, that's insane. I mean, what's your marketing looking like on an operation like that?
I mean, so my marketing budget is like around 25 grand a month, basically is my spend. And we kind of break that up into different areas. Obviously, direct mail, we've been absolutely crushing it with direct mail, with everything going on with the TCPA laws and texting and cold calling and all that stuff. I mean, we still do all that, but I try to take calculated risks, and I don't want to get into lawsuits, obviously. So you expose yourself a lot more by doing the especially phone calls. I mean, cold calling people that, if you do it the wrong way, you're definitely in violation of TCPA laws, and the texting is a little more compliant. So I'm not as worried about the texting, but texting is also dying right now based on the carriers restricting, text messages and all that. So, but direct mail, we've been really, really successful doing that. And then just basically, we just try to network with people as much as possible around town, tell people what we do, post it out with realtors on Facebook. Hey, we're looking for deals, just little stuff like that most people don't. Even just messaging your buyers, saying, hey, normally I send you deals, but I'm looking to buy some deals right now. Does anybody have any rentals or something like that they might want to sell? So, we'll do that too.
Wow. I mean, that's amazing. It's crazy to think how simple a marketing can be to have an operation like you're doing. Like, we keep our marketing very simple. We do basically 3 channels and that's it. We do other stuff there too, but we keep it very simple. So would you say your bread and butter is direct mail?
Yes, absolutely. Wow. I'd say probably 80% of our deals are coming from direct mail right now.
Wow. I mean, that's kind of close to what we're doing now. And would you say the other ones are through just that JVing and SMS right now?
Mm-hmm. JVing. I run a meetup, like a local meetup too. So try to give back and teach, people here in the area that want to do it. And, I'm always asking, the newer people that come in, hey, if you get a deal locked up, bring it to me. 1, I'll buy it. And 2, if I don't buy it, we'll figure out, we got a big buyers list here. So we'll get it sold with you and just partner with you, JV, on it. So.
Okay. And the next question I have here for your marketing is, what kind of list are you targeting? Obviously, I don't want to give the specifics of your market, but in general, what are some good lists for someone to start pulling if they want to get into some direct mail?
I mean, I'll tell you, our number 1 list right now is absentee owners. So, I mean,
wow.
Just very consistent with absentee, mail it each and every month, just put it on rotation and keep going back through. I think that's the problem with most people when they get started is, they just, again, going back to being consistent is, you got to hit them over and over and over and over. Don't just go through it one time and stop and say, hey, it didn't work. Maybe you have to send 2, 3, 4 postcards to that person before they respond. So you just never know.
Okay. And do you care about equity at all on this list? Like what's kind of the equity you're looking at?
I don't really filter for equity. Wow. Because we do creative deals as well. So we basically run a lead, through several ways. The first one is to obviously give them a cash offer and try to lock it up super, super cheap. If they don't, the odds of that happening are very low. So if they don't like my low cash offer, if it's owned free and clear, we'll automatically shift to, okay, well, what price would you take, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? Since you don't like my low offer, let them give me an offer, and then we try to work out a seller finance deal over terms at that price if they own it free and clear. And then if there's no free and clear on the property, they still have debt, then we'll try to talk subject to or lease option type stuff, just anything creative to make a deal. And then our last thing we do with it, before we throw the lead away is, we hand it off to a realtor. So see if the realtor can get the listing, and we'll charge the realtor a marketing fee for that lead and get paid that way. So you can monetize every single lead that comes into your business.
I think it's really important that you said that it's a marketing fee. I know a lot of wholesalers go out there and call a realtor and say, hey, let's split the commissions. They just say that's illegal.
That is illegal.
It's a mess. So I think it's really important that you stated that, because I don't think a lot of people are talking to realtors the right way to do it. So shout out to you for that one. But when it comes to your creative deals there, I mean, what's your favorite type of creative type of deals? Subject to, lease options? What's kind of your favorite?
Oh, seller finance by far. Seller finance is beast. Wow. So, I mean, you can make so much money on those deals. I like to buy and hold as well. So I have no fear of doing seller finance deals, because when I do a seller finance deal, I'm 90% of the time locking them up at 0% interest. So anywhere on a 5 to 10 year term, and it's crazy. Like we got one on an apartment complex in Norfolk, because I'm doing deals all over the state right now, and I got 100% seller finance on like a $900,000 apartment complex. So,
wow. How many units?
Yeah. 12 units. So
wow.
Crazy.
Wow. Okay. And so you're getting 0% on that. Like, what would be the down payment on a deal like that?
I gave her 20,000. There were 2 6-unit buildings, and I gave her 20,000 a building. So for 40,000 down, and my payment to her was like 2,200 a month. And these things are cash flowing at like 8,000 a month. So
wow, that's the generational wealth that like no one tells you when you get into real estate. That is life-changing stuff right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we have to fix them up, and the rents are below market as well. So by the time I get them all fixed up, get them rented back out, they'll probably be cash flowing about 12,000 a month. I'll only have to pay her 2,200 a month, and then by the time my term is over, I'll probably owe about half $1,000,000 on the 2 buildings, and each of those buildings will be worth about $1 million by the time we're done. So,
are you going to keep that one for life?
Yeah, and it's brick too, so the outside is solid as a rock.
Oh my gosh, wow. I mean, I think it's really important. I mean, that's a great deal, but I just think the most important part about that is for someone says, there's no creative deals in Virginia. There's no deals in my market. It's terrible. I mean, it's saturated. This whole market sucks. I'm going to quit. I mean, just like you're doing deals like that, they're out there still. Something like that. That's insane. My gosh, what was the marketing channel on that one?
It was actually from my meetup group.
Wow.
Somebody that came to my meetup group, and he got it locked up, and he called me, and I gave him actually $20,000 for bringing me the deal, and so he made money, and I'm gonna make money too, obviously. So.
Wow, that's the power of networking right there. That's unbelievable. Wow, I gotta get a meetup group going. That's great. So. That's your marketing channels. So obviously you're working with new acquisitions people or trying to find new people. Trust me, I've been through the ringer on acquisitions people coming in and out, almost like a revolving door, trying to get that person there. So what is your acquisitions looking like now? Like, what is your process? Once you get a direct mail call coming in or an SMS text, that's good. What's the process when it comes to the acquisition side?
Okay. So I'm very heavy with virtual assistants. We have like 5 virtual assistants that basically answer all of our phones and follow up with all of our leads. I have over, like 9,000 some leads in our system, in our CRM right now. So there's a lot of follow-up calls that goes along with that. So But when we send marketing out, they call in. The virtual assistants over in the Philippines are actually taking the inbound calls and capturing all the pertinent information. And they will set an appointment up for my acquisitions team to then go in and re-talk to that lead and close the deal out. So.
Wow. So this is all done virtually?
Yeah, we do everything pretty much 100% virtually, unless the seller is absolutely like, hey, I got to meet you face to face. We don't meet face to face. So we just lock it up all over the phone. With COVID, it's made it a lot easier. We just mentioned COVID and, hey, we're trying to be, careful and cautious and respect people's wishes. So that's why we just basically lock it up over the phone. I mean, if the seller's being honest with us and telling us exactly what it needs as far as repairs and all that, we pretty much can budget what it's going to cost to fix it up based upon the square footage. And, we're pretty close usually with what the repairs need to be. So.
Wow. Okay. And I mean, play devil's advocate. I get questions all the time on virtual wholesaling, and I'm just curious how you're using it in your business. So let's say you get the property locked up. Who's going out there taking pictures if it's in like out west, like crazy in the woods, but it's still a good deal? Like, how are you finding someone to take a picture of that and verifying the condition of the property and bringing cash buyer through? What's that whole process virtually for your virtual wholesaling?
Sure. Yeah, it kind of depends on the area where it's at. I mean, the majority of our deals are here in Richmond and also out at the beach area, kind of the Hampton Roads, Tidewater area.
Oh, nice.
Where, and I have a son that lives out in that area. So whenever we lock up a deal out there, I just get him to go out and shoot the video, upload it, send it over to us. And then actually my other son works with me here in my office in Richmond, and he's actually my dispo guy. So he's actually going out and looking at the local ones that we have. So
wow,
makes it pretty easy. And then if it's in an outlying location, like out in the Valley area of Virginia, we basically will just call a local realtor and basically get a realtor to go on out there and take a look at it and get us pictures, videos, stuff like that.
Wow. So, and what is it in for the realtor if they ask? Like, what's their motivation for going out there and taking those pictures?
We do it a couple ways. Like, we'll give them a fee to go out and do that, so they get kind of paid a little bit for their time. And then in turn, if we partner with somebody that we know is going to rehab it, we'll get them to list it back with them, or if we take it down, we'll take some stuff down too, and we'll just list it with them as well. So, because we are doing some wholetailing stuff as well, where we just get a good deal, buy it, take it down, and put it back on MLS and resell it without touching it.
Okay. I'm just curious because I know you do a lot of Airbnbs. I know you do a lot of like buy and hold and stuff, subject to seller financing, wholetailing. What is your criteria for all of them? What makes a good wholesale versus a wholesale? What makes a good sub two versus seller financing? What is your criteria for all these type of dispos for these deals?
Well, that's such a broad question.
Yeah.
Can you ask a little more specific?
When you get a deal, let's say in Richmond, what makes a good wholesale versus a wholesale?
Basically, if it's a better area, like it's a really solid area, we'll wholesale those because they turn out way better. Like my wholesale average is probably somewhere around 40,000. Wow. So, and it's just because of the area of the houses. We know the hot areas, the good areas, and as long as the property doesn't need a lot of work, it's just kind of lipstick type stuff, we'll go in and do that. So we try to also do it like a four point inspection on it. We don't do a full inspection. We just do like a 4-point where they're checking the main items of the house, making sure that those are okay. Because if they can pass the 4-point inspection, I know it's a financeable house. So anybody could come in and buy it basically and get a loan on it.
Okay.
Which increases your buyer base for it. Definitely. And it's in a hot area. So.
Wow. Okay. Like for the wholesales now, obviously you can't really do FHA on them if you're doing like a really quick wholesale. So are you just selling it like via conventional loan?
Yep. Conventional loans.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Oh, awesome. Okay. And what's your average price point over there?
I think Richmond is upwards of like 280 right now, 300, close to that.
Okay.
So.
And how are you able to find those quote unquote hot areas or hot zips? Obviously, I don't want to know what they're in Richmond. Let's say you get a new market. what's your criteria? How do you find the really good areas in that city?
I mean, I've just lived here so long, I pretty much know where they're at. So, I mean, in new markets, like we just started out at the Tidewater Hampton Roads area. So I don't really know all the hot markets out there. I know which cities are better than others, but as far as the actual hot areas, like I'm still learning that stuff. So, you know, it takes time to learn them and grow and, you know, get your knowledge base up. But I mean, Richmond, you could give me a zip code and you could give me a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house that's 1,000 square feet, and I could tell you within $10,000 of what that house would sell for, like just off the top of my head, because I've looked at so many houses and done this so long. I know what they're worth. So, and you just have to keep doing it over and over and over until you get that knowledge. So,
okay. And how are you finding and training your VAs? They seem like they're doing a good amount of work.
So when I first started, I basically just had to do it all myself. So I'm not a big believer in, you know, the guys that basically just give you VAs that are supposedly trained, because they're never really trained in the way, you know, you're going to function and you're going to do it. So you still have to actually train your VAs. So if anybody's trying to hire VAs from those people, you know, I'm not saying that they're bad, but you still have to train them and stay on top of them and to do things the way you need them done. So it was very hands-on a lot when I started years ago. I just basically sat down in front of my laptop, got a screen capture device, and did everything that I would need them to do myself, and recorded that video and just basically made my own training videos. So when they started, that's what they would go. They would go in and basically watch all those videos that I made. And if they had any questions after that, you know, we would get on, you know, maybe like an hour, half hour a day, and just kind of go over any questions that they had and get them all trained up. And then obviously as they're on the phone, you got to kind of watch their phone skills and listen to their calls and listen to their recordings and all that. And just, again, it was constant training and growing. And then I got lucky pretty much and found some really good ones. And, you know, anytime now we need a new VA, I just basically go to them and I'm like, hey, we're ready for another VA. Go find me a VA. And they go out and they find them and they bring them to me, and then they train them themselves. So I don't really even have to go in and train them. So I do an hour each week. I'll sit down and we'll go through their calls. We'll do like a training call session, because I always want to get them better with their sales skills. And so we do have an hour where we sit down and basically critique each other's calls, listen to the calls and say, this is what we did good. This is what we need to improve on. So everybody is all together and hearing, you know, what's working, what's not working, and how they can improve. So we have a 1% mantra. We call it Team Campeon, which Campeon is champion in Tagalog, which is the language for the Philippines. So, yep.
Team Campeon.
Team Campeon.
I love it. So they're all Filipino, right?
Correct. Yep. Okay. Everyone.
And are they getting paid strictly hourly? Or are you getting commissions? What's kind of that pay structure looking like with them?
Yeah. They get paid hourly, and then I give them a bonus for any deal that we get locked up. So if they were the person that took the lead and set the appointment for the acquisitions person, I give them $100 bonus on top of that. So nice. When we get the deal locked up, so whether it closes or not, you know, not all deals close, but when they lock it up, I pay them regardless. So, you know, just kind of keeps their motivation up high to get deals and make some good cash. So
beautiful. I mean, I think that's the number one mistake a lot of people do is they treat VAs like robots, $4 an hour, run them through and just they turn and burn. So I think it's really important you do that. You're kind of instilling a culture with Team Campeon. You're actually helping these people every week, and they're taking incentive to actually find VAs for you. I think that's amazing. I think you're doing a great culture with the VA. I mean, it's a huge nugget I'm getting from this right now. But the next question I have for you is, obviously you're not the only person in Richmond or basically in Virginia that's doing direct mail. There's a lot of people doing that, spending a bunch of money, but you're getting a lot of deals. So what do you think your business and your team is doing versus other wholesalers that just keep sending mail out? Like, how are you getting deals when the seller gets like 4 or 5 direct mail postcards?
Good question. again, it goes back to just being consistent. I mean, they're going to see my postcard over and over and over again, whereas to, the other people in the market might only mail them once or twice and then they stop. So I don't really believe that there is a whole lot of people being consistent with direct mail in my market. There's a couple major players that are, and I know they are, and I'm one of those players. And outside of that, it's just these one-offs that are, pulling a list, mailing it once. Oh, this doesn't work. I'm going to quit.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, consistency is key. That's what we do in our direct mail. It's helped us with cold calling and SMS. I mean,
because direct mail is expensive. It costs a lot of money to do direct mail, and people when you're getting into the business and getting into the game, it's like, okay, I can go pull a list and start making calls for pennies on the dollar. So most people just do that. That's what they're doing. They're cold calling. So which that works also, but again, I want to be compliant with the things that I do. So I really dove into direct mail probably year ago, something like that.
Wow.
And we've actually crushed it with that. I got coached by Jerry Green. I know you know Jerry Green really well. And went out there and sat down with him, and he kind of opened it up. I'm like, this is what I'm doing. And I'm like, dude, there's no way you're just doing that and getting deals like that. And sure enough, I came back and incorporated it, and it's been killer. It's been crush.
Awesome. I think direct mail just went up 4 cents or something like that, crazy in the past week.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on it? I mean, is this something that is going to stop you from doing direct mail? Are you going to keep doing it? What's your opinion on that? It just went up 4 cents. I got the email the other day.
I mean, it is what it is. In my eyes, that's great, because that means makes it more or less likely that somebody else is going to do it because it costs too much right now.
Exactly, man. That's the way I look at it.
Again, zig when everybody else is zagging. So.
Exactly. So it's not going to affect the amount of direct mail you're doing?
I'll probably do more direct mail.
I love it. And are these postcards or letters you're mailing out?
Postcards, 100% postcards. Yeah.
All right. And so let's get some questions from the audience here. I know we had a couple questions about you, but I think a lot of people have been seeing you run around Facebook networking, posting crazy amount of deals. So I think it's really important that a lot of people associate who Todd Miller is, maybe with the video that they've seen on Facebook, which is awesome. I mean, it's a great networking tool. I mean, have you found Facebook as a great networking tool with other wholesalers and just finding deals?
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say it's my best. I mean, I like in-person stuff. So I like going to events. I like actually, physically meeting people, like when we met at Jerry's event as well. So, to me, it's a better opportunity to really actually get to know somebody. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the power, being a wholesaler and real estate investor can get lonely sometimes when you're kind of a one-man show or very, very few people around you. So you can get in your head a lot, and it's just really super important. I'm in a couple high-level masterminds, which have been just killer for me, mindset wise and strategy wise, and just kind of keeping your thumb on the pulse of what's going on in the industry and what's working and what's not working. And I wouldn't be able to do that just sitting here in my office trying to make this thing work all by myself. So I mean, jumping on Facebook is cool, but I like to have those personal relationships first. And then it makes, when you can jump on Facebook and actually talk to those people, a lot more, just a lot better. So
exactly. Awesome. So let's see. What's up, AJ? How's it going? Says, hey guys. Kyle Miller says, Todd Miller.
It's my brother. Kyle's my brother.
I don't know how he found this one. That's awesome. Damon says, keep up the work. Let's get it. Let's get it. So good. Jason wants to know here, how much do you charge a realtor for a marketing fee?
Sure, absolutely. So it depends on the realtor and what we kind of negotiate, but we'll typically negotiate say 25% of their fee to up to 50% of their fee.
Okay.
So if they make 3%, we get 25 to 50% of their 3%.
All right.
And then I just send them an invoice for an actual marketing fee. Okay. That's how we keep it
with
legal.
The corporation or LLC that you have the wholesaling on?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. See if we keep that separate. Don Griffin wants to know, how are you pitching your creative deals?
Basically it's just a price pitch, if we give a low cash offer, and first of all, if I see something that's free and clear, I really don't care what the seller's asking me for it. We always want to get on the phone with somebody like that. And that's the number one thing. Like if some of you guys and girls see a lead and they're asking retail price, you're going to throw that out. Like, I'm not going to call that, but they want too much. Well, if it's free and clear, it doesn't matter really what they want. So I can give them that. So we just work the lead, and we start with our cash offer. If they tell you, hey, you're freaking crazy, I'm never going to sell you my $100,000 house for $30,000, right? Like, that's stupid. Why would I do that? And we agree with them. Like, hey, totally agree with you. Doesn't make any sense. So what would you need to get for it to sell me your house? And I let them give me their price. So maybe they come back at, well, I wouldn't sell it to you for anything less than 65. Okay. Well, if I pay you 65,000, I can do that, but it's got to be on my terms, or you can get the cash price on your terms. So if you want the cash now, it's your terms, my price. Or if you want your price, you got to agree to my terms, which my terms would be, I'm going to pay you that over, say, a 5 to 10 year period. And we just basically give them the price that they want, because to me, I can pay full retail on a house if I'm getting it seller finance, because it's at 0% interest. And I always go with my payment. I always make it about a third of whatever the rents are going to be. So if it's a $900 a month rent, I'm going to pay them $300 a month. And I use the other third for taxes and insurance, and then the other third is for profit. So technically, I'm going to make $3,600 a year off that house. Times 10 years, that's $36,000. And on something that's like around 100K, I'd probably give them $5,000 down. So on a $100,000 house, I agreed to their $65,000 price. And I've already paid them $36,000 in monthly payments plus 5. So that's $41,000. So now at the end of that term, 10 years, I owe like $24,000 on a house that was worth $100,000 10 years ago. Wow. So it's probably worth 120 now, and I owe 24,000. So
beautiful, man. That's a great way to pitch it. I think it's pretty important the way you pitched it. It's like, hey, you either get your terms, I get my terms, or you get my terms on there. So it's either get the cash on there or you get terms. I think it's important way that you kind of distinguish it there. So that's awesome here. D. Robinson wants to know, I don't have a wholesale friendly title agent in my market. How do I find one outside of my market?
Find one outside? What does he mean by find one outside? Like in a different... just get on Facebook. Just get on Facebook and pull up an investor group in that market and ask the question. Or just, probably don't even have to ask it. You just go to the search bar of any investor group in that market, and I'm sure somebody's already asked that question. So Just do a simple Facebook search. I know you were talking about Facebook search for buyers the other day.
Oh my gosh, I am obsessed with it. Everyone knows I talk about it. I literally, if I'm in a new virtual wholesale market, that's what I do. I'll add 500 really quick, email blast it. I'll find 4.
Hopefully you use virtual assistants to do that for you.
there's virtual assistants. There's other interesting ways. I can tell you a little later, but there's some fun little bots that you can do too with that. It's doing stuff that we've been working on lately, but it's cool, man. But I'm talking for like just base level people. It's the easiest way to find buyers, in my opinion. It's just it's super simple. So
that's our number one strategy for selling is we just put it on Marketplace and post it in groups. So
that's it. Let's see here. Juan Arrow says, awesome, excellent information. Always, guys. Thank you. Kyle's here to learn stuff. Kyle, VA, Virginia. That is sweet. Let's see here. Sharon Finley wants to know, what does the 4-point inspection consist of?
So all the major components of the house, basically the plumbing, the electrical, the HVAC. There's one more. I think just like structural. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. If you talk to an inspector, just tell them you just want a 4-point inspection, and they'll know what you're talking about.
Okay. Are you doing them, or do you have an inspector going out doing it?
No, inspector. I pay to have it done.
Okay. And how much would it cost for someone looking just to see how much something like that would cost?
It's like we're paying like $200.
Okay.
It's
That's not
because it's
bad.
not a full inspection. They're not looking at everything. It's a lot quicker. So
Awesome. Let's see. MJJ says, Todd, uh, what do you do personally when a buyer asks to view the property for your virtual deals? Have you ever sold the contract without the buyer seeing the property? Question mark.
yeah, we've definitely sold contracts without the people seeing the properties. We do that occasionally. But no, we let them see the properties. So basically we're just locking them up virtually. But then the buyer, that's another thing we'll do is the buyer will actually go in and do the inspection for us because they're going to look at it to buy it. So, and we just let them tell us if we get a property for 40,000, we want to make 15K, we put it out for 55. The guy goes and looks at it and, he's like, oh, he'll either take it right then and there because it's a good deal. Or if it's not a deal, we ask questions. So, okay, well, what did it need that kind of scared you about it? And we take that information that he gives us and potentially go back to the seller and renegotiate a price with the seller if he found items that they didn't tell us about. So,
Okay. And the next question I have here for your cash buyers is, let's say you're finding a lot of people from Facebook, you're posting it, you're doing well from that on Facebook Marketplace. How are you vetting these buyers to make sure they're actually legit? Because you don't want one that's not.
I mean, we're pretty much putting anybody on our list right now.
Okay.
The serious guys are gonna have the cash, so we basically make them give us proof of funds before they go out to the properties. So,
Okay.
and the legit people aren't gonna have a problem doing that. So
That's true. That's true. And are you going strictly just bank account statements, or are you selling it to people that get hard money? Like what's kind of your cutoff with cash buyers right now?
I mean, we do a little bit of each of that. So
Okay.
if they put the effort into showing us, where they're getting their money from, they're qualified enough to go out and look at the property. So
All right. And
it's the wholesalers that call you and they want to remarket your property and all that. Like those are the ones those are the ones that usually don't have the proof of funds because they're just getting started. And we do try to filter those out because we sell, I'd say 95% of our deals ourselves. So
nice. The daisy chain deals drive me crazy. Do you ever do any JVing deals with anyone?
yeah, absolutely. All the time. So
Okay.
I mean, I budget my marketing plan each year, for, I don't know, probably like 10 to 20 of those a year. So,
Okay. And let's see here. We got another question here. It says, how do you make sure the end buyer doesn't talk about price with the seller, or do you have someone on site monitoring their interactions?
yeah. So it kind of depends on the deal. Sometimes we'll do like a mass showing. Again, with my sons, those markets, we can just say, hey, anybody that's interested, we're going to be there Saturday. I like to do them on Saturdays because typically more people can come on Saturdays. Say at 2:00, and they'll be there, and we just kind of basically tell them like, hey, don't really talk to the owner. And, just any questions that you have, come back and ask us and we'll answer any questions that you have. And, if they don't follow those procedures, then we'll just kick them off the buyers list and never deal with them again. I mean, they're only cutting their own throat if they do that. So
True. Beautiful. And then one of my favorite questions I always try to ask here on the podcast here, when I got someone who actually does a lot of deals, they've been through the ringer before, they've seen it all. I think you have. What is your craziest real estate story? Any crazy deals?
craziest real estate story. Oh, I bought half a house. That's kind of crazy.
Explain it.
Yeah. So basically it's like an estate situation where somebody has multiple heirs, and you've got one of the heirs that wants to sell and maybe one of the heirs that don't want to sell. We went in and actually bought one of the rights for one of the heirs of the property. So it was owned by two individuals. One wanted to sell, one didn't want to sell. So this property is worth $200,000, and I went in and I bought half of the house. So technically my share would be $100,000, I bought his rights to half of the house for like $15,000.
Oh my gosh.
So now I just go through a partition suit, which we're in the process of doing, where you go to the court and you actually force the other person to sell the property. So we're in the process of doing that right now. So
Wow. How much do you think it's going to sell for now when it was worth 200 back then?
I'm not sure. I haven't looked at it because the process takes a little while. So you got holding costs and all that, attorney's fees and all that. So that's why you have to get it so cheap, if you buy half a house. But yeah, you can buy someone's rights to the property. Wow. And that's basically what we did. That's probably it's crazy. Most people wouldn't think of that. Again, doing creative type stuff. So.
Wow. Is the other seller mad at you?
The other seller, yeah. And he has a crazy girlfriend, and she's threatened to kill anybody that's gone close to the house because they live there for free right now. And the one of the owners, he actually gift deeded it to an uncle of his, and that's who I originally talked to. And then he got wind of me buying the other half. So then the kid went back and filed an illegal gift deed back to himself. He basically forged it. So it's a hot mess on the other side. So
yeah, you're going to have to deal with a lot on that one. I mean, who's paying taxes on that right now then?
Oh, I am.
Yeah, so. That's what I thought. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Make sure the taxes keep getting paid up. So, but I'll get that back on the backside when I go to sell it, because they'll owe me half the taxes. So
beautiful. That's a fun one.
Yeah.
And for this year alone, I mean, what would you say is your biggest wholesaling deal you've done?
Well, I got into doing apartments. So we also market very heavily on apartments. So we're doing some pretty huge deals with the apartment side. So over multiple six figures on one of those. Now they're not as often, but you get one of those a year and it makes a big difference in your revenue and that you've generated. So it's worth going into that. So I have a whole process that we follow as far as cap rates and making offers on apartment buildings that we're marketing to right now. So, and I always want to try to do bigger deals, larger deals, and that's part of the process, is getting into the apartments and just kind of outside of the single family home type typical stuff that everybody does. And apartments are hot right now too, and everybody's marketing and trying to get them. But we just, again, about being consistent and following up with people, creating rapport with them, and just getting them to like you. So we've gotten some pretty good deals.
Wow. I mean, you're getting the big leagues here, Todd. You got the apartments going on. You got some great seller financing deals. This is amazing. You're still doing Airbnbs, right?
Yeah, actually, I had cut back on them quite a bit, but I still have a few. Yeah. So
okay,
still love them.
And what's the difference are you finding between doing the Airbnbs and the rentals? Which one are you kind of prefer now?
I mean, rentals are more consistent. Rentals are more there's more rentals out there, I guess, than Airbnbs. Airbnbs it's a lot of work, especially if you don't have a good cleaner. So that's probably the biggest thing you have to deal with is making sure you have a superstar cleaner that shows up and gets them flipped, because they only have a short window between, say if you have a 10 o'clock checkout and then you have a 3 o'clock check-in. So you got a 5-hour window that they have to clean and flip that whole thing. So, and especially with COVID, it makes it a little more difficult because they really have to kind of do a deep clean on it. So, but, it just depends. You could have bad tenants and the regular rentals stink, and you could have a bad guest at the Airbnbs and that makes it stink. So it's just, but the revenue you can generate with Airbnbs is crazy. I mean, one I have in Richmond, in a hot little area, I could probably rent that property for $1,300 a month. And with Airbnb, doing an Airbnb, we're pulling in about $4,000 a month with it. So wow, it's crazy.
Wow, and you're doing some crazy deals. I mean, What's really pushing you? Like, you're getting all these big deals. I bet you got a lot of just investments. You got a lot of cash flow coming in. I mean, you're doing very well. I mean, what's pushing you to just keep pushing the envelope and doing more and more bigger deals and just helping your operation even more?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just a very competitive person, so I'm very, very driven, and I've always been in sports and athletics, and I wrestled in college.
Oh yeah.
So, it's just the way my brain thinks. I'm always trying to do my best and be better than I was yesterday, and I don't think a lot of people really are dedicated to do that much anymore. So, yeah. Do I get knocked down some days? Yeah, absolutely. But, I've really worked on my mindset, focusing my thoughts into positive thoughts. And when negative stuff happens or you fail at something, it's okay, what can we learn from that? How can we grow from that and see it as a positive thing instead of, oh, I failed, woe is me, and not really learning anything from it. So, I've just made that shift in my mindset in the last, year to 2 years. And I just don't quit. I don't have quit in me. So again, if I get knocked down, I'm getting back up and, going back at it again. So
I love it. Mindset's so important, guys. I mean, that's the stuff. It's so hard to teach. So props to you on that one. I mean, the best way for me to wrap this up is by asking the same question I ask everyone on the Bag Searches podcast. So I started out $300 as a bag boy. So if you were back at 18 years old, Richmond, Virginia, $300, what would you do to become the next Todd Miller?
And I had $300.
$300, 18. What are you going to do?
Oh, I'm going to drive for dollars all day long. So drive for dollars. Just get in my car, spend that money on gas, and put in the sweat equity to go out there and, find that first deal. So
awesome, man. I truly appreciate it. I know you're on Facebook and you're doing a lot of JV deals. I mean, you're one of the guys, like, hey, if I'm in Virginia, like, I'm the person going to you for a deal there. I mean, I'd love to go for me for a Virginia deal, but you got the buyers, you got the systems, everything in Virginia, probably apartments everywhere in the country, right?
Focusing mainly on the East Coast.
Okay. So if someone has a deal, how can someone get in contact with you to send you a deal or just network with you if they want to know more about you and how you guys can work together?
I mean, the main way to probably reach me is just hit me up on Facebook. I mean,
boom, that's it.
I'm not big on a website about me or I'm not big on Instagram at all. It's like I pretty much just stick to Facebook, and that's what I do. So
let's get it, man. So message him, get a hold of Todd. He'll help you out, make some money. So it's awesome. Todd, what is some parting thoughts you got for the audience before we hop off? There's a lot of young people watching this, a lot of hungry individuals who want to get started in this business. What's some final piece of advice you'd give for them for success?
I mean, if you want to be successful, it really just comes down to numbers. This business is all about numbers. You got to know KPIs and, how many prospects do I need to talk to get a certain amount of leads? And then how many leads do I need to get a deal? You just break it down. Like, right now we're at 35 leads to a deal. So I know if I just go out and get 35 leads each week, I'm going to get a deal each week. So, and then just, never stopping, never quitting. Again, being consistent each and every day, follow up like a demon, and don't ever stop. So it works. It's just, you gotta get past it. So.
Boom. That's what it's all about. Todd, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Happy to be here.